Привет, друзья! Итак, у нас почти...
Hello, friends. The 8th final of WorldSkills Russia competition, national competition, is about to end. For the first time, it is held in a hybrid format. We had competitors competing in 103 skills. They were filmed by 6,000 cameras. 800 experts were working to help competitors. But it was so much more than a competition. We had plenary sessions, discussions with observers from so many countries. Indeed, it was a large-scale event, which was a response to the pandemic, a crisis that the whole world faced. And I believe that WorldSkills really was successful in responding to this crisis. Our today's discussion will be held in 2 languages, so please pick audio channel which will be most comfortable for you.
Также мы сейчас с вами увидим очень большое количество видео будет в этой дискуссии, потому что...
Today we'll be watching a number of videos because under normal circumstances we would all be together now. We would talk to our competitors, we would take part in round tables, seminars, in our business program, we would all be together. But today, this year, a competition was held throughout 83 regions, and that is why we collected some videos for you, for them to serve as a testimony of this competition. My name is Ekaterina Loshkarova. I'm the member of WorldSkills International Conference Coalition. I'm also R&D Director in WorldSkills Russia. And today we'll have 8 wonderful speakers with us. Today with us we have Chris Humphreys, Acting President of WorldSkills International, Goran Chakrun, Director of Policies and Lifelong Learning, UNESCO, Sean Thorson, Executive Officer, Skills Competence Canada, Parisa Shirazi, Head of Education and Skills Competitions at WorldSkills UK, Karina Salikova, Deputy Director General of WorldSkills Russia, Alexei Timchikov, Technical Director, WorldSkills Russia, Yekaterina Inozemtseva, Director General, Skolkovo Forum, and Victoria Shimalskaya, Doctor of Psychology, Lecturer at Moscow Institute of Psychoanalysis. Experts, hello. We had to find a technological solution that totally redesigned the competition. We now have this huge network of people of 85 regions where people are all in their respective areas. We have around 6,000 cameras. It is very similar to our state exam system. We have so many competitors, around 3,000 people. We did so much in our vocational education. We took it all to a whole new level. It indeed was a challenge for our experts to take our skills and to turn them digital. Thanks to our teamwork, we did that.
Итак, это действительно были очень непростые полгода, и
Indeed, these 6 months proved to be very challenging. And let us start with a small questionnaire. I will ask all of you to take 30 seconds each and to speak about what you did in the 6 months, what you focused on during these months. What were the bars that you set for yourself? How did you help your community? What did you do in these 6 months? Karina, let's start with you. What did you do in these 6 months? Should I speak Russian or English? Russian will do, Karina. Okay. So honestly, our main challenge was to redesign the way we hold competitions. We wanted our bar to remain at the highest possible level, and we wanted it to comply with all of the standards and with all of the international norms. That was our main focus in this month.
Because I know that you were actually one of the first one who conducted kind of virtual competition. So how it was for you?
Yeah, so for us, our national competition was originally scheduled for the end of May. So we were at the very front end of the COVID-19 issue. And so for us, the goal was to try and look at everything that we were planning to offer at our national competitions and look at how we could offer that in a digital format. So that was conference program, that was competitions. So really trying to work with our experts and our technical community to figure out how we could put everything possible online. And we were successful in doing that. We pivoted very quickly to online content. And also because our schools were beginning to close and students were doing schooling from home, we also provided documentation and skills at home challenges for students to participate in while they were at home.
Great, thank you. Parisa, what about you? Super briefly.
We set our ambition to continue to equip thousands of young people across the UK with high quality digital content, which took the form of videos, learning resources, and career advice tools.
Thank you. Baren, so you and UNESCO probably have a unique opportunity to actually observe these changes within so many different countries. What you were trying to do within this month?
On three things. One, continuity of learning for all. Second, equity and inclusion to leave no one behind. And third is partnership. We have launched the Global Education Coalition with the private sector, civil society, academia, international organization to work together to ensure that countries can offer continuity of learning for all. So these were the three, I would say, main actions that we were trying to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Baren. And the WorldSkills is actually a proud member also of this WorldSkills Global Education Coalition. So yeah, thank you for inviting us to join. Chris, a few words from our side from the WorldSkills International.
Thank you very much, Kate. It's a great pleasure to be here. Well, of course, 6 months ago, WorldSkills suffered the unexpected death of our elected president, Josta Hoey. So I took on the new role in March, and just as the coronavirus pandemic hit, this was a big impact on all our international members. And of course, we lost the ability to have many of the face-to-face meetings we have. So we've set up a whole series of Zoom conferences, opt-in meetings, collaborative projects to bring members together to solve problems. And you and others amongst the board and our members drove projects to innovate and challenge the virus and ensure that we could keep competitions running through this last 6 months. Some countries succeeded, others have had to delay, but we've learned a lot, and innovation has played a huge part in our response.
Thank you, Chris. And from myself personally and from our community, thank you also a lot for picking up this role and for being so amazing acting president for WorldSkills. Thank you. Алексей, с нашей стороны тоже это был огромный вызов. Нужно было каким-то образом оцифровать сотни компетенций, чтобы провести это эффективно в онлайн.
Alexei, so for us, COVID-19 was also a challenge. What were the 6 months for you? Tell us more about your experience.
Очень тихо, не слышно. Да, основной фокус, каким образом было поднять всю цифровую систему.
So what we focused on during this month was to digitalize the whole system. And that was a bit of a headache because we needed to take each of our competitors, each of our experts into this digital world.
И объемным задачам национального уровня.
And indeed, it was an ambitious task, but we were ready to undertake them. For us, it was indeed a window of opportunity. Thank you, Alexei. My question now goes to Ekaterina Inozemtseva. Could you please speak about your month? Could you please tell us more about Startup Village? Indeed, it was an adventure for us. Startup Village was an event that we've held offline for 8 years running. But this year, as we faced the pandemic, we realized that we need to take it into the digital form, and we learned how to work remotely. And fortunately, we were successful in doing that. I will be speaking in more detail about organizing our event online. And just after we held this event, we started with our homework. We started to go through our errors, our mistakes, and learning from them. So indeed, these were the 6 months of unstoppable creative process. Victoria, the last but not the least, I believe that all psychologists across the globe face this unique challenge because many people felt like they needed help of a professional during this difficult time of lockdown. Could you please tell us more about it? It is true. From day one, we've established a special group for parents and school children, and we were taking them on this journey of stress managing. And you know, before COVID-19, we did speak about soft skills, but COVID-19 actually showed us how important soft skills were. They're no less important than hard skills. And many of our competitors and many of our students realized that what it took were 5 to 10 minutes of their time daily just to cheer them up and to prepare them to work remotely. Today, during our talk show, we'll be speaking about all of the aspects of our work during the pandemic, but to immerse ourselves a little bit deeper into the whole competition thing, we would like to give the floor to Karina Salikova. She was lead project manager. She and her team, WorldSkills Russia, did so many things in these 6 months. So Karina, I hope you can share more with us.
It was something like, sometimes we felt like Elon Musk's team, that trying to launch somewhere into the space. So we had a go, and we decided to just split it into several questions. that have one and to several topics that have one and the same questions. First of all, we needed to satisfy all the requirements of international standards, and then we have to attract the attention of our visitors, because everything is online. So how could we attract the people's attention to come to online, to see the broadcast, to see the news, to see the challenges, and so on and so on. And the technical issues were the main point of our thinking. And Alexei, I think, will add a lot of different and interesting things. How did we solve all these issues? So if before we had just one region that host the national competition, and everyone came, usually like a normal life in offline, usually came to one place. So here we had 85 regions, 83 finally, of Russia. So everyone should be on their workplace with their experts, and all the competitors should feel the atmosphere, the energy of competition, because it's very difficult for them to compete without understanding and comprehension, just that you are really competing with someone who is more than 1,000, 5,000 kilometers, as Russia is a huge country. And the conference program, how could we develop, how could we improve it, just to share our experience and to open the questions that should be interesting for everyone from our community. So all these challenges were solved in a very, I think, in a very concrete and exact way. We asked the host region to help us with the online software and the special program that was made for this competition that allowed to get together more than 10,000 cameras together, to allow the more than 700 experts being at their places or at the competition management center to control, to see what's going on, and to make assessment according to WorldSkills international standards. And then we created WorldSkills VSR.online visitor experience special platform that at the moment we see statistic, and we see that almost the whole earth saw it. Around just some countries in Africa haven't seen it, but a lot of countries at the moment, we have the numbers, and we are proud that more than 70 countries took part, seeing the competitions, being competitors, seeing business mission, and so on and so on. So they visited the challenges with our bloggers. They saw the videos and broadcast and stream from the workshops. So I think that this experience was really successful. Of course, we do not expect that the next year we will do the same. We do hope that we will have everything offline and we'll come to one place and we'll give a hug and so on and so on. But this experience was really extraordinary for us. It was a really challenge. And as I feel that we really succeeded. The popularity of our national competition was more than we even expected, because 300,000 people, 300,000 views of broadcast or for workshops every day. 300,000 In
That's
normal,
amazing.
in normal life, in offline format, usually we have around 200,000 people coming to the venue from the host region, and that's all. And some news in some media, social media, and so on and so on. But never before it was like this. And 300,000 people, it was daily, not for the just for the whole 2 weeks, but daily. And it's really amazing numbers. And the conference program attracted the attention of more than 3,000 people. It's almost twice more than it was in offline format. And the theme and the topics and the speakers were really interesting. And it was not, you know, sometimes we know, yeah, that we use an administrative resource, something like this, that asking ministers or something, or someone from higher level just coming to see us. But here was by usual people, by community, and it was by their demand. So the technical issues, it was the most difficult, but I do not want to just not to give a word to Alexei, because otherwise we will repeat each other. But experts made amazing job. I couldn't even imagine how they evaluate the skills and the assessment and the whole things that are really important, that prove that the world international standards are still being presented. And the numbers, they will finally, we will get them just on Monday, because we like in Olympic Games, we know results every day, starting from the third day of the competitions. So every day, all the regions, all the competitors and experts are sitting in front of the cameras, the laptops, and so on and so on, and waiting for the results. It's really like an Olympic Games in skills, because today you can you can just ask for some or see some competition, the next day the second, and so on and so on. So on Monday we will know who is the winner, what region is the winner, and we will know the number of all the names of all the competitors who won. And the outstanding numbers of competitors as well. It's more than almost 3,000 competitors were. Never before in the history of World Skills Russia it was such numbers. I'm not sure that it was even in World Skills International.
Well,
but that was amazing.
But in case of Russia, definitely was the biggest numbers, numbers for us. Thank you, and thank you especially, Karina, that you're sharing not only some positive sides and not only some kind of achievements, but also some challenges that you face, some issues, because we're also going to discuss it during the conversation. Because as I saw from your slides and as you described, there was different areas of potential challenges when you're trying to conduct educational or competition or training format online. And can I please ask the slide with our 5 main challenges that we're going to discuss today? So, and now I'm going to switch to Russian. Итак, мы обсудим сегодня 5 основных вызовов, которые...
So today we are going to discuss the 5 challenges that Karina has presented us, and we also discussed these challenges during the preparation for this discussion. So first, this is a forced transmission of all the processes to online format. Whether you want it or not, if you want to continue your training, you have to digitalize your activities, and that was definitely a challenge. Second challenge, the maintenance of the quality and standards of world skills. Being in the world skills community, I can say that this is really the most important factor. We do preserve and cherish our standards. We believe that high quality quality and skills excellence are the most important aspects, and we cannot betray them in any format. The third challenge was connected, as Karina has already mentioned, with the visitor experience, the work with viewers, visitors, and Ekaterina will also be talking about it today. When your visitors are accustomed to go to the venue offline, to touch everything, to ask questions, and in this format it was not possible, and the whole visitor experience has had to be transformed. Fourth, this is a sustainable internet connection and cybersecurity challenge. Even today, within this discussion and session, we still experience some technical challenges, and that's the way it was during this 2 weeks, and for some people it was for 6 months. At some point of time, the internet connection can fail you, and unfortunately, no discussion, no competition becomes possible. And the fifth challenge is connected to the emotions, the management of your physical as well as the emotional state. Because if you're not in your best shape, if you are sad, frustrated somehow, if you are stressed, then you cannot enjoy the life, you cannot enjoy any formats, be them educational or competitive. And I know that our colleagues from WorldSkills UK focused on that aspect, working with your competitors, with your experts. That is very interesting for us, and we will ask you later on to share this experience. So, dear viewers, dear audience of our transmission, of our live broadcast, now you can see the challenges on your screens, and can you please vote? What is the challenge that was the most pressing for you? This is about your personal and subjective opinion. Which challenge was the worst for you? Could you please vote? And while our audience is voting, I would like to ask you to show our video about our excellent experts. Because what Karina said and what Alexei will be also mentioning, 700 experts in WorldSkills Russia were digitalizing and reviewing their professional activities in an absolutely new format. And without them, everything that was going on during these 2 weeks wouldn't be possible. So let's take a look at the video and how they were working during this time. So the mission of an expert, for me personally, is to be the driver behind the growth of the movement, whether it be at the regional, state or international level, or just in a professional community. Experts should raise awareness among masses during this academic year, and our task and mission is not just to organize the competition and train 2 or 3 people right here and right now. No, our mission is to enable all the educational institutions that train people across different majors to up-level themselves when it comes to the knowledge, skills, competences to the level that would be acceptable worldwide. Are gathered on one venue together, they can communicate, they feel the competition, they feel the victory. They do understand that now something great is happening. That's what we missed probably a little bit, but in general, I believe that each of the competitors and experts can say that we'll be able to organize the successful competition. We know that this is a big stress, and now we should allay all our concerns, be confident in ourselves, not be doubtful about anything, about what you do. That was just super. Thanks to our experts. And if we now have our results of the voting ready, let's demonstrate them on the screen. Which of the challenges was the most pressing and important for our audience? Let's take a look at the results. So it's quite relevant indeed. This is a forced transfer of all the processes into the online, switch the processes to online. So it is not only about educational area, this is about all the spheres of our life. And in this respect, our colleagues from Canada and the UK, as Sean said, in Canada, they faced in this cycle, they were at the front line of this problem because that was at the beginning of the pandemic. So, and you decided to organize the first digital format competition. Something was successful, some was not that successful. They also had to digitalize a lot of processes. Sean, Could you share with us, quite briefly, could you share your experience? How did you face this challenge in WorldSkills Canada? What are the main findings and interesting solutions you could underline in what you've done, and how did you organize that?
Yeah, thank you. I think obviously many challenges in trying to move things online very quickly. I think one of the first challenges is I think we obviously have very passionate technical experts that really want to do the best they can for their occupation. But one of the challenges is people are at all different levels of comfort with technology. So I think it's really important to create a very strong roadmap with very detailed information that guides the experts in the process in not only how you're going to use the technology, but also in how do you adjust the content that you're going to provide. The same is for the competitors. You have competitors, again, that are at all different comfort levels with technology. So how do you give them an orientation on the technology and get them to understand that this might be a new way that they will be able to learn, and this could be something that they will use beyond the pandemic, that it will be a different way of learning these different aspects. So I think those are some of the challenges, is making sure people are comfortable with the technology. I think the great elements of taking content online is that you expand, I think as Karina identified, expand the number of people that you can connect with. We have traditionally worked through the school system, but the online version allowed us to go directly to students, go directly to other people in the communities, and that expanded the opportunity to connect with those people and deliver our messaging. So I think those are a couple of the key things for us. The last one, and it was identified as one of the potential challenges, is access to broadband. Does everyone have access to the same level of internet connection at their homes? What happens when that you lose connection? So you need to have some really strong processes and regulations in place to try and deal with some of those issues.
Thank you, Sean. And we're going to talk about the issues with the internet connection further, because definitely it's like if you don't have a stable internet, unfortunately, the rest is almost impossible to conduct. Parisa, a few days ago, a lot of us in the WorldSkills community saw the amazing work of your, I think it was a cook, chef expert, who demonstrate how he make basically the digital version of his skill. And it was quite amazing. It was definitely, and it was kind of pure art, besides his mastery as a chef, but how he made it digital. So what was your approach to this challenge, how to super quickly bring everything online?
So we experienced in the United Kingdom 3 key challenges, primarily around our digital capacity, and that's the capability of our infrastructure, but also our experience in using technology. Secondly, it was around how do we create high pressure, high quality teaching and learning environments. And thirdly, it's around that sense of community. One of the biggest lessons that we took away was around making sure that we had a very clear strategy and a structured communication plan, very much as what Sean has said, making sure that we were clear and consistent. Alongside that, it was really important that we looked at a lot of the technological solutions that will play a key role in our pursuit for skills excellence and delivery. And coupled with that was around the assessment. How do you, the things you mentioned, Katerina, with regards to culinary arts, one of the things that we find is a massive challenge is how do you measure smell and taste in cooking when you're assessing remotely? So there are some strategies that we've deployed from a globally recognized scale, which is the hedonistic 9-point scale, which is, a great tool that's enabled us to kind of continue in the same way as we would do in the kitchen.
Thank you, Parisa. Yes, it was definitely amazing. And but as all of us know in the WorldSkills community, and I cannot highlight it more, nothing of this is possible without experts. So the role of experts is it's really crucial. И в России нам повезло, что у нас было 700 таких потрясающих.
And in Russia, we got lucky because we had 700 experts led by Alexei. And before he will share how he established this work with the experts, how this amazing community digitalized the competition and organized the hybrid competition. Before we start with all that, we've drafted a very fresh and so-called raw video for you. We drafted it just for during 2 hours, but it was very important for us to ask experts how did they spend these 2 weeks, what challenges did they face, what solutions did they find interesting. So we needed to get this hot feedback, which is quite fresh. The emotions are still strong, so let's listen to our experts and their opinions. So the assessment is organized in a better way because all the experts cannot say that somebody was unfair somehow. And so I would organize it in a hybrid format in the future. Partially, I would preserve this format, which we have now, and I would add the old version as well. Currently, we have a competitor from Brazil, and he delivers on the same assignments and tasks and projects as our other competitors. As to the emotional side, this format is much better, I believe. And also when it comes to the budget, it's much more economically feasible. And I believe that this is a very important factor when we talk about this digital format. This format highlights its soft skills. Well, the work can be done perfectly, but when it comes to the time, the competitor is not within the timeline, and then the results are just zeroed. Well, here you can see the cameras from our workshops, from our automobile workshop, from our art workshop. So you can actually see whether the competitor is right or wrong when it comes to the organization of their work and the delivery of the project. We rotated the assessment experts by regions. So we got an expert from Kazan, and this expert assesses our competitors. Our member of the team went to Kazan. Well, the advantage is that we combined, got together with all the rest of the regions. So dozens of regions came together from different platforms, but within one event, within one competition. Wow, that was indeed a challenge. Alexei, could you share with us what emotions did you feel for the first time when you were presented with a task? How did you deliver on that? And how was it possible over a couple of months to digitalize this number of skills? Maybe that was quite different by skills. Or could you share how did you manage, and are you satisfied with the result? Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Currently, where I am, it's good evening. Before I start, I'd like just to mention the skills that were just demonstrated. Those were the concrete works, the video production, also the safety on the airline transportation, and mechatronics. This is just for your understanding what we were talking about in the video. So step by step, following the questions that we have on our agenda, I'll try to answer them. How did we prepare our competitors? How did they train? So the competitors are the most happy here, I believe. Why? Because I believe that they didn't have to go anywhere, didn't have to suffer from this discomfort when everybody is so noisy, but they could focus on the project. They were in comfortable conditions, and quite often some very some very professional experts were also in the digital format.
The only difficulty was for us to make sure that all of our competitors have their floor where they could work in case access to their place of education was restricted. So as soon as we were informed that we go on with the competition, we had to find a solution that could make it possible. So what we needed was an IT platform for the finals of the national competition. And we had even more cameras than we initially planned. We also had 3 competition management centers, and they were divided into 3 due to the epidemiological situation. We didn't want to have too many people in one place. So our technological solution can be divided into 5 major parts. So one of them is Competition Information System, or CIS. Then we had our audio and video communication. We used Zoom, we used Cisco solutions, we used some national solutions. But the main challenge for us was to establish permanent video monitoring. We needed to make sure that all of the processes were aligned because we sometimes had 7,000 cameras running simultaneously, recording simultaneously. So we needed to make sure we had enough capacities to process all of this data. We need to make sure we could look through all of our video recordings. And please remember that we have 8 time zones. And in each of these 83 regions, there were different technical setups. And if, for instance, we have a technical problem, we couldn't afford to eliminate someone from the competition because we would run short of competitors in this case. So we needed to make sure we were very proactive. We needed to make sure we were very robust in terms of this IT platform. It needed to be very flexible. It needed to be tweaked easily should such a need arise. And now we think that the system is pretty reliable. We tested it during our semi-finals, to put it colloquially. And there were some issues, there were some glitches, but we fixed those. And now the system is up and running. The 4th element of our system is file and documentation management system. The task cannot be available for everyone. Competitors can only have access to those when they start their task. So this management system enabled us to do so. And the 5th element was our call center. We worked with around 5,000 technical people. We've issued a number of technical guides for them to follow. And since this whole format is something very new to us, especially for those who do not work with IT skills, for example, it was very difficult for construction and building skills. It was very difficult for some manufacturing skills. So we needed to make sure we had enough experts in the call center to address all of their concerns. So that is a very condensed version of how we worked. What were the main difficulties? What were the main challenges that we've encountered? First of all, technical literacy of competitors who competed in categories other than information and communication technologies. Our second challenge was managing time zones, because we needed to make sure that all of the competitors had access to their task at the right time. It was very hard for the experts to monitor 24 hours a day, so many competitors. So we need to make sure we dealt with that. Plus, all the regions had very different capacities in terms of their technologies. Indeed, we had communication issues, because as I've already mentioned, not everyone had this good IT literacy. I, for one, cannot tweak all of the cameras for them to work smoothly. So we needed to make sure we had the right people to do that. And of course, we needed to make sure our YouTube broadcasting was all right. We needed to make sure we had technical people in all places. We needed our software engineers who actually designed the whole software for us. So there were lots of challenges in a nutshell, but we were successful in surmounting those. So that is my brief overview of the challenges that we had during this competition. Of course, there were lots of doubts, but as a tool, this system is absolutely unique. Last year, we had only 2 skills in digital, but now we have so many, including our junior competitors. You know, some people say that this COVID-19 really brought to the surface this generational crisis or technology crisis, because we, people who are in charge of holding these competitions, we really have to learn, and this lifelong learning concept is actually there with you. You have to learn new things, because you don't really have a choice. Before, all of the experts only worked in their respective skills and they were the best there, and that was enough. But now they have to manage things. They have to be managers, and of very complex systems and processes at that. You need to know how to use your computer. You need to know how to get in touch with the right people to set it all up. So when it comes to soft skills, that was a huge challenge.
Because you also were like facing some of this challenging during preparation your national final in May. So can you highlight some maybe aspect that resonates with you and how you were trying also to keep the WorldSkills standard within the, you know, its quality, and how you deal with the technical challenges and the skills which are not digital, unfortunately?
Yes, so I think everything that Alexei said, we experienced those same challenges and tried to deal with those challenges in the same way. Having cameras that were videotaping people as they performed work. How do we make sure that we can use those to evaluate effectively? I think one of the most significant challenges in looking at kind of the output is, how do you maintain those standards? How do you maintain a strong evaluation process that meets the WorldSkills standards or whatever country standard you've set? And you can do that in a number of skill areas. Those IT areas, those are obviously the easiest to sort of to transition. But yes, when you're talking about carpentry or electrical trade, some of those more industrial occupations. Those are the ones that are the most challenging to get both your experts and your competitors to adapt and change to use technology in a more robust way. That being said, I think we see how technology is changing occupations. It is changing how people work in some of these occupations. So I think a good element of this is that this does force those people, as we've said, to use technology in this format to manage documentation, make sure their camera is in the right place, get their camera connected to Wi-Fi so that they can stream content. That is not the same technology use that they may apply to technology solutions in their occupational area on a day-to-day basis, but it does still also give them increase their comfort level with using technology, which I think then can transition to them having some stronger digital skills, because I think those are extremely important.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you. And also, we all understand that the WorldSkills competition itself, it's not only it's competition, of course, but it's not only competition. И также важной частью всегда в данных...
Another important part of this competition are opening ceremony, closing ceremony, visitor experience, the business program. Our traditional WorldSkills competition is unthinkable without all of these elements. Now let us watch a video about how we managed the business program this year. 1, 2, 3, let's go. That is how the studio looks for every viewer of our plenary session of the 8th national competition, WorldSkills Russia. Today we are talking about training and retraining in compliance with WorldSkills standards. Sergei Tsivilov, governor of the Kemerov region. Mr. Urazov, please do the honors and open our competition. I normally push a button, but let me do this camera move.
Да, это было достаточно увлекательно. Мы очень рады, что столько...
What an engaging experience. We were so happy to see many viewers joining this broadcast. Katya, I know that you in Skolkovo held Startup Village online. Now you're preparing for the Open Innovations Forum. Why did we invite Yekaterina? Because for us, this hybrid competition exists in some kind of a vacuum. In our community, we faced some challenges that many of our fellow educators, instructors faced in their respective areas. And at WorldSkills, we believe that our tasks are incredibly hard. As WorldSkills CEO says, we have so many skills, and we have this, if we have, say, 130 skills, we have 130 factories, which is enormous if you think about it. But people all across our country faced similar challenges, and it is very important to learn more about their experience and to learn from them. Yekaterina, please share your experience with us. Thank you. Indeed, when we realized that COVID-19 is here to stay, we decided that we would not cancel Startup Village. It was scheduled for late May, and in March, it became clear that we couldn't hold it offline. And we had too little time to design some new software. So we decided to work with what was available on the market. Startup Village events normally consist of our business program where we have our speakers who give their talks. So what we needed is to invite our speakers. Then we came up with our simultaneous interpreting solution. Everything was easy there. We also have a competition for startups. Normally, these competitions run for a couple of days. So the main issue with our online version of Startup Village was who will be watching this 2-day broadcast of this competition, because we realized that we needed to attract our viewers, and it is very, very hard to attract them when we have such a lengthy competition. Normally, we hold Startup Village outside of Moscow. We have our food court. The whole atmosphere is very relaxed, very festive. So our main challenge was to keep people interested, was to keep people engaged. That is why we decided to change the way we held our competition. We pre-recorded our semi-finals, and we only broadcasted the finals with 13 startups. We also had our very special digital 3D expo. So users really had this unique experience of traveling through our technological startup stalls and stands. The idea was to constantly be in touch with our viewers. And that is why we made sure that visitors to our 3D expo, they had all of these tools at their fingertips to communicate with what they saw. They could, for example, exchange business cards with their vis-a-vis. They could ask questions. They could engage in discussions. And finally, the fourth part of our event is networking. Startup Village is indeed a place where people meet investors, corporates, startups, mentors, experts. All of them work together on our platform. So for us, it was absolutely crucial to come up with a set of tools that could enable all of these different people to communicate. So what we needed to do is to introduce smart search for people to look for investors, for business angels, for possible partners. We had charts. People could send invitations for personal chats. And indeed, we had all kinds of theme charts. Some of them are even used up to this date. So how do we make sure people stay with us? We launched an enormous social networks promotion campaign where we would talk about our speakers, and we would tell people to learn more, please visit our event.
For example, just to access and watch it with a link, you didn't have to register at all. So if somebody shared the event, on Facebook, other people could just click on it and then see the live broadcast. To participate in a questionnaire, you had to go through a very simple registration to get access to the platform and then to get into the communication. Then, very important part of that was a live broadcast. It was done in our social networks as well as on our partners' platforms. Over these 2 days of our event, 186,000 of unique users have registered, and the average time of a user on a platform was 64 minutes. That meant that people were accessing and viewing. And another unique figure is that the general total number of views is 1,700,000. So we didn't expect that at all. We were quite shy and we hoped for 30,000. So we had 1 million views and about 15,000 people were coming to us. So after the event, we started our work on our mistakes. We are now getting prepared to the open innovation. We tried to simplify some aspects of that, such as an exhibition, because we don't see any sense in investing all our resources, including the financial ones, into our 3D exhibition. The same communication capabilities can be organized in 2D, and it'll be much easier. We'll still be able to update the information. But some other aspects, we will need to make them more sophisticated. We will introduce more languages when it comes to the simultaneous interpretation, for example. And what's more, we will not only try to attract those who are coming to us, but we'll also try to retain our audience. Thank you. Thank you for sharing this. I believe that's very nice that when we can learn from each other. As it was already said, during this period of time, we had to learn as much as possible. We had to take a look at the experience of other people, and we had to adopt these changes as fast as possible. And it was not an argument that nobody has done it before, because we didn't have any choice. And at the end of this discussion, we'll also discuss the figures, because Ekaterina also shared with us some figures, and we will discuss whether this is phenomena of a pandemic, because you don't have anything to do basically, and you can participate in online events. And so when we will be discussing the lessons learned that we would like to take together with us and bring to the post-COVID time, we do hope for it. And we will also have to think about whether we will be able to retain this attention from the audience to the online format when all the traditional formats will be available, the entertaining ones included. And talking about our fourth challenge that is connected to cybersecurity, to a stable internet connection, I need to mention that a lot of experts have already said today, unfortunately, we all faced this challenge. So when you have a good connection, stable internet, you believe that you can do anything, you can connect to anybody worldwide, you are quite far from each other, but it seems and looks like you are just together. But when the connection failed, we did understand that we are quite far from each other. And so, Alexei, I'd like to ask you to comment on that. Before we move on to the psychology aspect and the trust, etc. So, Alexei, when there were some technical problems connected to the internet, did you feel that it also undermines the trust towards the result? Maybe some people could believe that, oh, maybe that was done on purpose. They just switched off the internet connection and they replaced the wrong element in the system with the right one. Did you experience anything like that, or not at all? Well, definitely. Each of these elements is the test. Each of this event is a test, because we have competitors in regions and their experts and themselves are quite creative. Everybody wants to show the best results, and we have to confirm and check everything. That's why we save our data. That's why we have the special features on our platform that are connected to the timing. So we call it a time machine. so we can track the timeline when the project was delivered. We trust, of course, everybody, but at the same time, we need to establish the control over that because we want to have the final results that will be trustful. For us, it was a very important aspect, and we devoted a lot of time and attention to this aspect of our work. And psychologically speaking, that could be quite difficult because we are in the same professional community and we can't say that we don't believe our colleagues and peers. Well, let's be honest, fair and objective here, because this is very important when we organize this kind of event. Because the future of this will depend on how we organize it right now. So we did perform some checks and confirmations. Yes, I do remember that some experts, and I believe that Sean also mentioned, that when everything is video recorded, then you understand that you cannot actually cheat here. Well, most probably this video will not be used, but if it is still used, then your name in the community, the integrity of yours, will be undermined. And when everything is video recorded, proceeding from the experience that we've got, it seemed like there was less cheating. So, Chris, now the question goes to you.
Challenging were this month, how many different surveys we conducted to communicate with our members. Also, we had the PR campaign about the essential workers. There was a series of WorldSkills conference talks. So I know personally that you spoke a lot with the members from different countries. So what was your kind of feeling and observation about the, like, not only internet connectivity and all of this, but internet as well, you know, and the maybe access to the technologies for the different countries, because we also have WorldSkills Africa, which is super important piece for our movement as well. So what was your feeling regarding kind of readiness of members to use all of these technologies, maybe the main challenges that they face? What was your feeling?
Thanks very much, Kate. I think you've raised some amazing, important issues today. But just before I begin, can I offer my congratulations to WorldSkills Russia for what's been an amazing piece of work over the last couple of weeks, and a huge investment of time, creativity, and innovation in the preparation for this. You've raised a lot of the key issues, but it seems to me that what I've seen from your discussion today and from our conversations with the members is you need three things to get through a time like this. The first one is communication, and you're right. We had hundreds of hours of communication between our members and between individual groups and regions of members to try and share an understanding and reach a bit of a common view about what each other's challenges were, and to build confidence that people were not alone. The second element was collaboration, and we saw this in so many individual projects. The fantastic collaboration between members that led to the While the World Pauses, Essential Skills Keep Us Moving campaign, which was utilized in countries around the world and saw thousands of hours of views amongst the public and amongst policymakers and influencers. Communication is one element, collaboration is the second, and you highlighted this yourself. While the World Pauses, Keeping Skills Moving campaign was a collaborative effort between dozens of countries who translated, shared common images, adapted and produced for their own purposes. But it also underpinned a lot of the work that is being done in different nations. I know you worked closely with other countries in planning for this event, in learning from the UK, from Canada and others. But also at the heart of it was a phenomenal collaboration between your own experts, who themselves are the champions of all of this, because they were the ones that looked coming from different backgrounds, experience and skill subject matters, they look to find solutions and to learn from each other and adapt and change in order to ensure that they could really make this work. The third area, undoubtedly innovation. At the heart of all of this is organizations' willingness to innovate, to use technology both to share problems, perceptions, fears and opportunities, but also to use technology to digitize skills to the highest standards possible, to drive coaching and counseling for individual learners, and also to tackle the inevitable problem of confidence and resilience, as this was the first for competitors and experts as well as your own team, and treating every challenge as an opportunity and not being defeated by things as they come along. Determination, I guess, is the final element of this, that absolute commitment to success, the decision that this was going to happen and you would find a solution to drive the event forward. I guess the big concern for me at the international level is the one you've been highlighting most recently. The reality is that for half the world, the digital divide is a real problem. Access to high quality internet is a massive challenge. And we are finding alternative, low technology ways of working in Africa through the Skills Development in Africa project. But the reality is, and you highlighted in your own talk, Kate, if we don't solve the full access to internet challenge, then it is going to be difficult for many nations to continue this work. And I think World Skills International needs to be investing our own innovation, creativity, and collaboration to try and help solve those problems for the other half of the world. But what you've learned should inform that, and I really congratulate everyone on our team for what you've delivered.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for that's really nice, nice words. And yeah, we really, while we were doing this, I think for all of us, it was important to have this feeling that we are doing this not only for ourselves, but that we also want to contribute to the global World Skills community and to super fast and to learn from each other. Because again, otherwise, what choice do we have? Not a lot of choice. И да, момент, которым я сейчас хочу перейти, это то, что Алексей...
Okay, and now I wanted to mention something that Alexei has already said, that for competitors, it was quite easy and quite pleasant experience because they were at home in their home regions where the walls help, as we said, and at the same time, the competitors worldwide also experienced some difficulty when it comes to the competition because they were trained, they were preparing, and not all of them were able to demonstrate the skills that they acquired. We do hope that they will be able to present these skills in the future. And before we move to our final block, let's listen to the testimonials from our competitors. Could you please switch on the video? Well, I can't say that I was definitely ready. It happened very fast. We had to adjust to that very fast. I wouldn't say that it was that complicated, almost the same. I had to answer the phone, but I also had to imitate all the movements as if there was a person in front of me. That was quite uncomfortable, but all the rest was just awesome and perfect. I wouldn't say it was difficult. On the one hand, it was easier because this is your home workshop, you know everything, each component of that. But on the other hand, you work alone without any teams nearby. And for example, if you see other teams and you understand that you're lagging behind, then you start to accelerate. But here you're alone and you just proceed with your own tempo and you don't understand where you stand in comparison to the others. For me, it was more calm because you don't see the competitors, just their pictures on the screen. You don't copy their mistakes, and it's more calm, so to say, as they say, at home even the walls help. That's why I feel more comfortable working this way. It was interesting. It was an experience. You communicate to other competitors. Anyways, you make friends and you support each other. Even though we didn't feel the competition that much, it was there. Certainly, those are new skills that I won't be able to receive anywhere. New people, new acquaintance, new skills, even when we work on the same equipment. Later on, it will open the doors for me to a more prominent educational institutions and certainly the best schools. Well, you need to consider how much effort you've already made during training, the preparing, and when you are totally exhausted, you need to finish it, finalize it, because it wasn't in vain, and that uplifts our spirits, and I do get some support. I'm grateful to everybody. Well, the format, whether it's a remote one or a live one, doesn't really matter. So you do it anyway. Everything is in front of you, so no difference. And you don't get relaxed, do you? No, certainly not. And does the home ground help? I think so, yes. I admire our competitors. It's a pleasure to watch them. Unfortunately, we didn't get the opportunity to feel this emotion in the workshop, on the venue, when you feel the energy of hundreds of young professionals. It is second to none. And passing on to our last challenge, which is connected to the psychological aspect, to the emotional intelligence, so to say, I'd like to ask here Victoria and Parisa. But even though when we were watching the video right now, it was obvious that we are quite different, and different things motivate us. Some competitors say that it was easier for them because there were no other people, other competitors. They weren't distracted. They were focused on their projects, on the task, and could deliver with a high quality. But some other competitors said that, well, you know, in the past, I did see the competitors. I could compare myself with them. I could track my progress, whether I'm lagging behind, whether I'm ahead of them. Here, I'm just alone, and I do not see this competition. I cannot visualize it, and it is not that good. So for different people, it works differently. For some, this is an advantage. For some, this is a disadvantage. And in addition to that, in self-isolation, we also faced some uncertainty, concerns. Some people felt quite alone. For some people, this format was quite comfortable, and Karina and Yekaterina already mentioned a lot of figures, and a lot of people started some trainings. They embarked on some tools online. But for other people, it was an additional stress. It was a challenge, especially for more adult people, so to say. They felt that they didn't understand everything, didn't deliver on everything. So Victoria, as a psychologist, as a member of your professional community, how would you comment this massive exodus, so to say, to the online, how to cope up with it, and how can our community could also use some professional advice from your community? Well, the emotions that I've seen, that was very reasonable when it comes to the reflection and when they talked about advantages and disadvantages. Definitely, well, skills trains not just professionals, but prominent professionals. And when I was talking about soft skills in the past, I was saying that the difference between different skills and different professionals is also in the work under pressure, in the teamwork. And our competitors prove that, talking about both soft skills and hard skills. And now we can also reflect on the results of the whole competition, and we can draw some lessons from that. A large research by George Besson, it was done not only in the production skills, but also worldwide. It showed that there are four main lessons. First, the health and well-being is our core value, and our competitors are so aimed at the result. They're quite young, but here, when they're constantly stressed in online, when we train our competitors, we focus on that as well. So next stage is the reload, so to say, when we not only train them to do everything properly, to work with the instruments properly, but we also allow them to reload themselves every hour and a half to get off this stress, to pump your body with the blood, enough blood, because health actually suffers. And then, of course, the third one is teamwork. Well, of course, the individual results are very important, but the way they worked with their teams produced the results. And then the fourth, the technology, they are savers.
This slide is, by the way, very important. It's all about doubts, it's all about fears, it's all about mistrust. So there are global studies that show that there are two emotions that help people to work in the most efficient way. We're talking here about trust and acceptance. And I believe that educators and instructors across the globe can learn from word skills, because word skills showed how you can unite people through values, through trust, and it yields results. Ekaterina, you were right in saying that all people are different. And I would like to focus attention of experts, of mentors, that there are now diagnostical tools that do not simply help to see how a person is developed from the point of view of their emotional intellect. No, there are diagnostical tools that are very nuanced, and they help to see whether a person depends on their emotion or not. Some people, they need a detailed plan in order to prepare for work and for a competition. And there are people who are quite spontaneous, and they're better off working spontaneously. We should take it all into account. Let us look at yet another study. This one was carried out by John Hattie. He looked into what actually influences the quality of instruction and education, because only through instruction we can boost results of our competitors. The two factors that Mr. Hattie pays special attention to and attributes special importance to is one, micro education, and here we speak about practice, constant hands-on practice. And another factor is feedback. Our competitors should always receive feedback on their performance. It should be detailed, it should be nuanced, and since we now have all this camera recording from all angles, we are in the unique position to provide them with valuable feedback. And I believe this is a unique opportunity that WorldSkills can provide for students, for competitors. This next slide features a unique exercise that I believe all of the WorldSkills competitors practice during this national competition in Russia. It's called Area of My Control. This exercise helps competitors to understand what they can control and what they cannot control. Thus, they can control their nervousness. They can now see that they do not only compete with others, but with themselves, becoming a better version of themselves. I would like to repeat once again that all of these important insights are valuable not only for WorldSkills movement, but for all of the companies who will hire our competitors, our students going forward. Thank you so much indeed. You know, in times of crisis, we all need to be kind to ourselves, because indeed we need to set these ambitious goals. We need to take up efforts to achieve those goals. Of course, we all want to be the best version of ourselves. And when life throws curveballs at you, when life gives you lemons, we make lemonade. Yes, life is difficult. And it is good that we have these new formats, hybrid formats, online formats to keep going. But we need to be aware of the fact that when you do something for the first time, you will make mistakes. So it is important to keep going, to carry on, to learn from our mistakes. We need not to punish ourselves for each little mistake that we commit. We need to go forward. Париса, я знаю, что
energy working with your expert community, with your participant, that you provided different forms of emotional support for them as well. I know that our colleagues from WorldSkills Germany also were doing this, for WorldSkills Belgium, from actually a lot of WorldSkills member countries, because again, in time when sometimes it was almost impossible to continue training in hard skills, but in soft skills or in some forms of emotional support, you definitely can do something. And I know that you was doing such stuff in WorldSkills UK. Can you also say a few words about this?
Of course. So for us, mindset and well-being was key to our strategy in equipping the young people with the skills that they needed. We focused on creating a virtual community. Community is key in creating that feeling of belonging and being part of a team, which is critical to the success of Team UK. So through our Mindset Bootcamp program, which was a series of pre-recorded videos, which could be watched by the group of competitors that we're currently developing in the lead up to Shanghai, coupled with group sessions where they can reflect on the learning, as well as the engagement on a one-on-one level with our performance and wellbeing team coaches. The premise of our learning was very much around managing stress at a time of uncertainty, as well as focusing on supporting your mental health and wellbeing, and ultimately building that resilience and your ability to perform under pressure.
Thank you, Parisa. Well, it looks like, consider everything that was said, right now we're gonna slowly move to the conclusive part of our discussion. И я бы попросила сейчас наших организаторов...
And I would like to ask the organizers to have our voting sheets on screen. This is a special form that we actually use to share ideas. I would like to ask our viewers to go to menti.com and to type in this code 447643. You can see it on your screen now. Please, after accessing the website and typing in this code, please describe in just a couple of words, what do you believe we could take to the post-COVID era? We've heard so many insights. We've heard so many interesting ideas about dealing with our mental health issues, about managing stress, about organizing events, about working and learning remotely. I know that many people actually do not want to switch to traditional ways of working. They enjoy working remotely at home rather than going back to their standard 9-to-5 kind of work. Please share your ideas about virtual community, about online competitions. Just please share your ideas about anything that we've discussed today. What do you think we could really take to the post-COVID era? Because someday we will be done with self-isolations and lockdowns, but probably there is something now that is worth taking to the post-COVID time. And now, esteemed speakers, while our viewers are answering these questions, I would like to ask you the same question. What do you think you, as professionals, as people in charge of their own communities, what would you take from this COVID-19 era to the post-COVID time? Ekaterina, you are now preparing for Open Innovations Forum. What would you take with you? We will definitely continue working with our speakers in the manner that we do now, because this online way of communication enabled us to have so many new speakers. People who wouldn't normally come to Russia joined us online, and that is absolutely wonderful. We'll be having so many international speakers at Open Innovations this year. We'll definitely take our virtual 3D Expo with us. And by the way, we'll make it permanent. We will have tours, and this 3D Expo will be virtually this enormous database of products and solutions that can be offered at any given moment in time to those who are interested. And indeed, we will continue to work on our digital networking system. Of course, offline networking is king, but this online way of communicating with each other, of matchmaking, is also a very interesting solution that is definitely worth exploring. Thank you. Alexei, what about us? What about WorldSkills Russia? What would you take to the post-COVID era? Actually, I'm grateful to this lockdown thing. I mean, don't misunderstand me, but we actually found this work-life balance. We finally detached ourselves from office work. Now we finally realized that it is more efficient to discuss some matters via a video call, and we can limit the number of face-to-face meetings. Of course, it takes us to a whole new level when it comes to managing projects and communicating with each other. And we really were able to boost our skills here. And many of our experts, an overwhelming majority actually, they say that they will continue working this remote communication, but they will balance it out with offline, because nothing will never replace the warmth of a face-to-face meeting. Hard to argue with that, Alexei. Victoria, speaking about this warmth of a personal meeting, as a therapist, as a psychologist, probably there is something that you would share with us in terms of what you will take into the post-COVID era. Well, we'll definitely continue helping competitors, participants, experts to become absolutely outstanding by working with their mental health, with their well-being, because now we all see that our mental health is actually as essential as, I don't know, brushing your teeth in the morning. And now so many people have realized that they need to take this 5-10 minutes a day to work on their mindset, to work on their mental health. This is a very nice habit.
Okay.
We're very keen to continue expanding our digital footprint, particularly around the hybrid and blended approach to teaching and learning. So that's one of the most significant things we're going to take away, as well as actually continuing the discussion with fellow members and nations so that we can learn and share best practice in the pursuit of skills excellence and delivery.
Thank you. And considering that your national final is still ahead, like, the most good luck with that. We wish you all, to prepare and to conduct it with the sense of joy and satisfaction, because we all, I think, in our community, a lot of us, we visited UK Skills Live show, and it always was amazing. So good luck to you guys. Sean, what about Skills Canada?
I think we've just seen the beginning of what can be taught and assessed, evaluated online. And I think we are going to carry that forward when we get back to face-to-face competitions. What elements can we offer learning before the competitions, and what elements can we evaluate before we bring people together for face-to-face competition? So I think that's what we'll take away.
Thank you. And Chris, so basically summarizing all of this for the WorldSkills community, of course, we're all looking ahead to our WorldSkills global competition next year in Shanghai, and fingers crossed that it can be conducted in the traditional, classical, the most desirable way for us all for now. But again, we know a lot of different amazing practices happen in different countries. What would be your suggestion, maybe your learning from this? What would you take with you to the post-COVID world?
Thanks very much, Kate. I think we've learned a lot of lessons about how organizations need to respond when faced like crises like COVID-19, and we'll face similar ones in the future. The first of these is you need an open mind, a willingness to accept that change is necessary and that no option can be afforded to be closed when you're starting to respond to something like this. That you need collaborative working, that trying to do this alone or to work in silos is not an answer, and that we need to learn from each other, both within our nations and between our nations, to share opportunities and ideas, to learn what's not possible and what works well, and to take advantage of it. The third thing I would take away is the need for constant innovation. It is not enough to think you've solved the problems, because there are yet more to come. Keeping an open mind and a willingness to continue to change, evolve and learn, and to innovate and adapt when necessary has to be a key part of our response. And the fourth part, and it comes back to the sorts of things that Victoria and Parisa have been turning about, we really need to adapt a resilient mindset. Resilience is probably the most important skill, most important personal capability that we need to draw on here. To accept challenge and accept difficulties and problems, as you highlighted, to pick ourselves up, not to blame ourselves, but to learn from them and go on to challenge and face it as we need. But I think there's a fifth one, which WorldSkills International needs to think about understanding and addressing. And that's the problem that has highlighted so many of the elements of discussion today, the digital divide, as it's called, the lack of adequate and fair access to the internet for too many nations and too many areas and regions of individual countries. I think the world needs a united effort to try and solve some of these problems, and WorldSkills members need to work together to find solutions for those of our nations who are struggling to meet that requirement and cannot deliver the same level of technology, and to learn how to combine high-tech and low-tech solutions with personal support and individual counselling for our students, so that every nation can benefit from the opportunities despite the challenges that COVID-19 and similar pandemics and crises will throw at us. But I'd finish by saying what a fantastic example WorldSkills Russia has provided in this event and through this particular webinar today, and to congratulate you and your whole team for everything that have achieved. I hope the lessons will be seen by many others and used to help their progress in the future.
Thank you, Chris. And also, let's see what our audience pick up for this from this conversation. If our cloud of text is ready, can you please show it to us as well, so we can learn some pick-up from our audience. Так, это похоже, что онлайн-обучение все полюбили, что осознанность важна, удаленка просто нельзя.
We see that all people deem important remote work, remote learning. People deem it is important to be always ready to work remotely, to get in touch remotely. Zoom is indeed one of the key. But
social distancing. Well, yeah, probably for somebody also speaking about the psychological comfort, for somebody this current status of the social distancing, you know, is actually more comfortable when the people interfere into your like kind of personal space. So for some, it's even comfortable. Интересные находки, интересные идеи.
so many interesting outtakes. A very nice cloud we have here. So that wraps up our today's discussion. I would like to thank our wonderful speakers who joined us today, who shared their ideas. Indeed, it was a very, very valuable discussion. It was very important to talk about what we did in this last month, about lessons learned, about our mistakes.
Thank you so much. You were amazing. It was super informative. It was great, and it was important for us to discuss it exactly in this period of time. И заканчивая данное шоу, мы завершаем не только эту дискуссию.
To wrap up our talk show, we're also wrapping up our business program of the 8th national final of WorldSkills Russia competition. Thank you for being with us.